Hi, my name is Amy Pavlina, and today I'm going to walk you through a supplemental activity for Unit 4, Day 13, the Borough Flags of New York City, Passport to Social Studies, Grade 4. And this supplemental activity is in conjunction with the culturally responsive education components that we're integrating into our classroom on a daily basis. So for this lesson, students were given the independent work option to study the image of one of the five borough flags. And this was their independent work during this lesson that you're sending them to do asynchronously. So they look at the flag, they look at the images, they read what the images mean, and then they identify what they're seeing, which borough did they choose, and what do they think it means. And then it's having them go into what do all these symbols tell you about this borough? What would you infer about this borough if its flag was the first thing you saw? So, in cultural responsive education, now it's time for you to turn the tables on the students and have them really bring their identity into the classroom. One way you can do this is to couple this lesson with an independent project for students to complete. So here's just an example of what I do in my classroom, and you can choose to use it or use something similar to it. The students really like this project in my classroom. I've done it for my fourth graders. I've also done it in third grade as well. So it's a Who Are You project. So after studying the borough flags of New York, it is time to study your cultural flags. What country or countries do you identify with? If you struggle to identify with a country, choose a flag that you like. Some students, they may say, well, I don't know where I'm from. And that's fine. And you want to really hone in that that's okay that you don't know where you're from. Either they can have a conversation with their guardian, or if that's not a possibility, maybe they're going to choose something that represents their values or something that they're drawn to. Maybe they're looking at a flag and they're like, oh, I like the way this looks. But the idea is that they're going to come up with their country or countries that they identify most with and really take it and find out what are the meanings on their flags. So they're going to research their flag at flagsworlds.org and tell the meaning of all the symbols on their flag or flags. They could do more than one if they have multiple cultures that they really identify with that are strong and they know a lot about. So here's my teacher model. So I put this up for students. I'm going to show you the Jamboard in a second that I give to students. So I put on what country or countries do you identify with? Place an image of the flag you identify with below. So I place my image, which is Poland. Tell the meanings of all the symbols on your flag. So I put the meaning of white for the color white and red for the color red, and then the white eagle that's on the red crest. Place a post-it telling the meaning for symbols and colors and the country. So here's just my example. And then after this, students should be doing their own. So here's how I set it up on Jamboard for them, exactly like this. And I give it to them with the link. And I give them the first slide that'll look just like this. You could do your own country. Maybe you want to change it up. I think it's more impactful in a culturally responsive classroom to really identify who you are as a person yourself and what you're bringing into the classroom. The next part of this project is hard, but students enjoy it. So the next part of this project, let's go back into the presentation. The next part of the project has students identify what are their core values. So in SEL, over the course of the year, you've been talking about core values, like what are values, what are, things that you need in your life to treat others with, or how do you want to be treated? So you have a conversation with students about these values. You can go over and find any chart that you like. I just found one chart on the internet just to put on here for an example. Usually I like to have students come up with their own chart, but for this video, I'm coming up with a video that has to have a chart that's already here. So here's a chart that's simple and it just has some things on here: acceptance, affluence, commitment, community, and it goes on to wealth, work. And you have students look at the chart and look at all the words. And without having them really dive into it, you're going to have them choose 3 to 5 words. And these are going to be identified as their values. So if they're choosing fun, family, freedom, love, loyalty, those are their values. The next part of this project is going to have them choose colors for their flag. So they've chosen their values that are going to be represented by symbols on their flag. Now they're going to choose colors. Here again is a simple chart just to give some idea of what these colors could mean. So we have for yellow, joy, cheerfulness, friendliness, intellect, energy, warmth, caution, cowardice. Maybe students, they really like the color yellow, and that's fine as well. And you want to really allow them to identify, well, my favorite color is yellow, and I'm the creator of this flag, so I chose yellow. Let them own it. And that's their identity. Let them own it. This is their flag that they're creating. After they've chosen their values, their core values, and the colors to represent their flag, they're going to go back to the Jamboard, to the next slide. This might be a follow-up activity, or maybe you're giving this as an independent activity for the week to do during SEL. And you're having them create their own flag. They're going to find images and colors to represent your values and who you are as a person, and they're going to give a name to their country. They're going to place a post-it telling the meaning for symbols and colors, and they're going to tell the meanings of all the symbols on their flag or flags. Maybe they'll do a second one. So I hope that this activity has been helpful to have some cultural responsive activities within your classroom embedded into the Passport to Social Studies unit. And this is really a great project that you can use within your classroom to capitalize on your students' identities and allow them to share their identities with other students in the class. They could present these projects during your SEL meet or during social studies or in small groups or breakout rooms. It's really a great opportunity for students to share their identities with their classmates to cultivate a classroom of respect and inclusion.